Well, here we are on a Friday morning, the 10th of February, and Dennis Darwell here to host, but I have the privilege of having as my guest this morning, Jose Alvarez. Jose, good to see you, brother.
Great to see you, Dennis. So glad to be on the Friday with you. Thank you. I really enjoyed all the ones you've put together.
Thanks, brother. Let me just tell the Lynx family very quickly a little bit about who you are. Jose spent a number of years in the minor leagues, but then was very privileged to earn a right to play in the big leagues. As you can see in the back corner of his picture, he played a number of years with the Atlanta Braves. He once told me that he was not good enough to start, not good enough to close, but he was good enough to be a middle relief guy. So, hey, look, just making it to the big leagues is a big deal. So, but, after the majors, Jose then spent the next roughly 15 years with Fellowship of Christian Athletes, most notably as the chaplain on the Korn Ferry Tour. And so a lot of years just in ministry, involved. He and his wife, Michelle, beautiful family, children, grandchildren. He and his wife do a lot of marriage conferences. And so it's just a real privilege to have him now as a colleague on Lynx in upstate South Carolina. So, Jose, tell us a little bit about this journey you've been on, and make sure to leave a little time in there for the upcoming golf tournament you're going to have.
Well, thanks, Dennis. It is great to be with you. As I mentioned, I've really enjoyed all the Fridays. And, I'll just give you the flyover for the folks out there. I'm on staff now with Lynx, and it's just been wonderful. And Dennis, because of you and Leanne talking with me, Michelle and I about this opportunity, and really feel like God has really led us here, and we're excited, and especially what's happening in the upstate of South Carolina. But here's a flyover. I was one of four kids born to a single mom in Tampa, Florida. My dad actually married my mom after the fourth child. And then when I was 5 years old, I can remember like it was yesterday, the FBI came in our house, arrested my dad. He was sentenced to 9 years in the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary. I used to joke and tell people we were poor when my dad lived with us, but after he got arrested and was sent off to prison, some guy broke in our house and tried to rob us. We robbed him. Now that's poor, okay? Let me just explain that. So I grew up with a hatred towards my dad. He got out when I was 11 years old, and I only played catch with him one day in my life. And Bo Jackson and I don't have much athletically in common. He was an all-pro in football and an all-star in baseball, the only guy to do that. But we did have one thing in common, that as I read in a Sports Illustrated article, that Bo said he was jealous of his teammates because they had their dads in the locker room after a game, telling them how proud they were of them. And he says, I never had that. So I know what it's like not to have a dad. Watching my high school, college, minor league or major league games. And that caused a big wound. And so when my wife and I were actually getting married, she wanted me to invite him to the wedding. And I was like, no, he is not coming. There's no chance. And she asked me this question, and actually a Devo, I guess it'll explain a little bit more, but have you ever forgiven your dad? And I said, that man doesn't deserve to be forgiven. And my wife just looked at me and she said, do you deserve to be forgiven? And it was kind of like the Spirit of God just hit me right in the heart. And so I learned what the power of forgiveness was about, because I was able to humble myself and really come to a place where I could forgive him. And the great end of that story is, for 13 years, I began building that relationship. And I know the Super Bowl is coming up on Sunday, but what was interesting is the day before the Super Bowl in 1994 in Atlanta, Georgia, Buffalo and Dallas were playing. And I walked into the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary to speak to a group of men. And when I got out, I called my dad and I just said, hey, I just want to let you know again, I've forgiven you. You have already been, set free, but I just want to let you know that none of that matters to me, and I love you. I was 37 years old, Dennis, and for the first time in my life, my dad said, son, I love you too. And I tell you, there's a lot of guys watching this today that have never experienced a father's love. And, but I know I've got the Father's love. And so that's what's motivated me to be in ministry and tell people about the love of God expressed to us while we were sinners, that Christ died for us. And to do that now in this venue with links, it's amazing. So thanks for letting me share that. There's a much longer version, but we don't have time. I will say this. For those out there in Links family, if you want to get involved in a great golf tournament, where the movie The Mulligan was filmed, that's going to happen on April 18th and 19th. It's a 2-day event. And then in Los Angeles, West Coast, they're having a Mulligan Invitational. It's the Pat Boone Mulligan Invitational, March 13th. In fact, I can't even share with you the golf course because we have agreed not to publicly make it known. So let's just let everybody know it's one of those special private. You got to know somebody that knows somebody to get on it. But that's March 13th. You can go to our website, linksplayers.com, look under events, and you'll see how you can play in the event, how you can sponsor the event. Love to have some folks join us out there. It's going to be a great time. Pat Boone will be at both of them, and we'll make sure that you have a great time.
Jose, thank you very much, brother. It's very, very moving story, and really at the heart of Christianity, it's all about God's love for us and his forgiveness through the Lord Christ. So thank you for being with us on this Friday morning. It's always a joy. I can see why the Lord's raised you up, man. So can't wait till I see you again. God bless. And to our Links family, thanks for joining us on this Friday morning. Make sure you read Jose's devotional where he explains a little bit more about his relationship to his heavenly Father and his earthly father. Goodbye. See you next week.